I'm Ricardo Rodriguez with the Paisano. Here I have the African American Studies Advisory Board. Obviously Black Lives Matter is receiving a lot of controversy in terms of, is it racist to say, for example, Black Lives Matter when you should be saying all lives matter? That distinction, where do you stand on that?
One of the things that needs to be made really, really clear is that Black Lives Matter is not a statement that all lives don't matter.
Right.
Black Lives Matter is, that hashtag was initiated and generated because Black lives didn't matter to all other lives. And it's not a reflection or an indicator that blue lives don't matter or that white lives don't matter. It's not a us versus them thing. It's a, we understand that your life matters, but being in the lowest place on the totem pole, so to speak, right? I hate to use that analogy for other reasons, but for the purpose of this conversation, there has to be a visceral, loud conversation about the carceral state that we exist in. Like it's a terrifying thing to be a Black human being in the United States, in the world. And so there has to be a statement about that. And I think this constant conversation about, well, if you believe in Black Lives Matter, then you don't believe in white lives matter, you don't believe in blue lives matter, is based on fear and loss of power in that space.
So I think Dr. Reinhardt and others who teach in the Black Lives Matter are more qualified to speak to this, but I'm just going to make a quick comment that Black Lives Matter, to me, is a movement. It's the movement when you see how the disproportionate murder of Black people in the United States. So it's a movement that says, let's stop this murder. And as a South African also, I always come back and think about Black Lives Matter in terms of the people's education movement in South Africa. People thought that the people's education was just, they're just burning down schools, or they didn't know what they want. But they were fighting against the police, actually not even the police, but the military in Black schools. Hence, people's education movement took off. So it's a way to say enough is enough to see this disproportionate higher killing of African American or brown and Black bodies by the cops. So I look at it that way as a movement.
And I think that's one of the biggest discrepancies is by acknowledging, for example, that Black Lives Matter, you're supposedly saying that these other lives don't matter.
No,
you're just saying that it's the inclusion that Black Lives Matters as well.
So I can draw a quick say, as I make this comparison, in South Africa, white children were not killed by military in their school campuses, hence the people's education movement. And here, I don't see a high percentage of, maybe I'm not correct, you could correct me on that. I don't see a lot of white folks being killed day in and day out by police. So you couldn't equate that and say, that means that means all life matters. I mean, if all life matters, then there wouldn't be a movement called Black Lives Matter.
Right.
So I just want to say, when people say, react to Black folks saying Black Lives Matter and they say no, all lives matter, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
They're not like, they know what we mean, but they're just making a political statement about how they feel Black lives don't matter, I think, sometimes. But they're trying to flip it and say that we're saying that Black lives only matter, whereas everyone else doesn't. So they know exactly how they're playing on the words to use it as, for whatever media purposes or political purposes that they have. They're not stupid. They know exactly what we mean, I think, most of the time when we say Black Lives Matter. The other thing I want to add is that in sports, like we see all of these things happening with Kaepernick, and you have, even before him, athletes doing the hands up, don't shoot. Some of the St. Louis Rams at the time, now they're in LA, did some gestures, and LeBron James and the Heat, they did the hoodie gesture for Trayvon Martin and whatnot. And you see that, right? You see this recognition of Black athletes, of what's going on in a context that they're a part of, but they're kind of separate from, because athletes get treated differently sometimes, but they recognize a lot of times what's going on with the Black masses. And they recognize that everything is not always all good, but when they do well on the court, they still display Black joy, right? And so even though like we're in these contexts and things can be oppressive, I don't want us to paint this picture where there's not room for us to have joy, because we do have Black joy as well, right? We think about violence that happens, and like almost every day I walk on campus and I think that like, you know, this, like where we are and what we're doing is the product of bad things that happened in the past. But nevertheless, I still have moments every day where I'm like, man, it's good to be alive. You know what I'm saying? It's good to interact with these people here. So everything is not just depressing and terrible, even though I recognize that there are bad things that still happen.
I also think that if people were to look at the Black Lives Matter movement as an educational movement, many of our young people don't understand why their Black lives matter. And so by participating in such a movement, we're educating them. Mm-hmm. Many of them don't have the same kind of respect as we would have about why it's important, why we like being Black, what's important to us. I can't forget asking students in a class to bring a book that represents your culture, and students told me, and they were of all flavors, all that culture stuff is for people your age, miss. And I went, what? Do you not understand your culture? When you look at the book right now that's being protested the most here in 2016, that is showing a father and daughter serving George Washington and being happy because they get to serve him. And it indicates that all slaves were just happy being slaves. And you think somebody's still writing books like that right now? And they're showing that to our children, and our children are getting ready to think, oh, it was great being a slave. We don't need that. So by having Black Lives Matter, maybe they'll learn there were purposes behind many of us, that we have a rich history. Maybe they'll respect their history and be proud of it. That's what I would like to see. And we're not saying white lives don't matter. We're trying to tell the kids, your Black lives matter.